I get a show of hands if you know what this instrument is? One person. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, that's what I'm here for. So this is a guzheng, a traditional Chinese zither that has over 2,000 years of history. And I never thought I'd be here playing this instrument because growing up, I was very disconnected from my roots and from traditional music. And I realized I wasn't the only one. So my music journey started on the piano when I was 4, along with 40 million other kids in China as the most popular instruments. And then I learned the guitar. I started writing songs on the guitar. And the next thing I know, I went on this Chinese music show called 中国好歌曲 when I was 16. And the show became popular over the nation. And overnight, my life changed. I entered this parallel universe where I was the Hannah Montana version of myself as a 16-year-old high school student. I saw my face on news headlines. I heard my music being played in public. And I was working with music legends I grew up admiring. And I even won one of the top industry awards called the Chinese Music Awards. But as a Chinese musician, I was starting to develop a little bit of an identity crisis, musically and culturally, because as a Chinese musician, I didn't really sound Chinese. And I didn't really want to sound Chinese in a way. So in my language, there's this word called Tu. It means something that is backwards, outdated, not cool. But it literally means the soil or the ground that we stand on. And you also have this word called Yangqi, which means the opposite, something that's very cool, very avant-garde, trendy. But Yangqi literally translates to something of westernized traits. And this is just one example that is happening to traditions all over the world, and it's causing music traditions to disappear because we think that our roots isn't cool anymore. The question I asked myself was, what can I do about this as a musician? And that started my journey. We know that with music traditions, they differ from a physical object or a written text. It relies on living people to keep the traditions alive. And every piece of music that we hear was remembered in someone's brains, performed through someone's bodies, and felt through someone's heart. And I was inspired to learn the Chinese zither, learn traditional folk songs from my roots, but I also didn't want to perform them as relics from the past. I was interested in sharing them to communities outside my own. It's like this quote by the composer Gustav Mahler, that tradition isn't the worship of ashes, but the preservation of fire. So I was working with musicians across different music backgrounds, from EDM to ambient, folk music, classical Western music, classical Indian music, and the list goes on. I would say yes to anything or anyone who approached me. And I think that's really important when it comes to preserving the tradition, to make it relevant to the modern community. And after I came to the UK, most of the audiences I perform to, like yourselves, might be unfamiliar with the language or the culture of the music I perform in, but still, we're able to have this connection through music, because I believe that music has the power to build a bridge between what we consider the East and the West, between the traditional to the modern, between you and me, and between the past and the present. So my grandmother used to sing this lullaby to me when I was a child, whenever I get scared or have trouble sleeping at night. And whenever she sang the song, I would just feel this connection and feel so safe, and I knew that everything was going to be okay. And it's a song that her mother used to sing to her when she was a child. And it's helped my family through hardships and even war, through 4 generations. And I couldn't find any information about the song later on when I grew up. And it could have been one of the songs that got lost along the way, because we know that at least half of the world's indigenous music traditions has disappeared in this century. And I'm very grateful to the power of music because in my grandmother's last days, she had Alzheimer's and we couldn't communicate through words. And music became our only form of communication because whenever I sang her favorite song to her, she would remember the song and she would sing it together with me. So I'd like to let the music do the talking now for the rest of my talk. And I'd like to share this lullaby with you. I like to think that even though my grandmother has passed away last month, whenever I'm singing this song, she's still singing it together with me. Somewhere in the space existed only through music. Thank you.